Our Collision 2017 coverage is proudly powered by Monster Products. Find the headphones and speakers that match your style at plugitslive.com/monster. Our next guest is here. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Go ahead and introduce yourself for me.
I'm Leslie Robertson and represent a company called Meeting Pulse. And Meeting Pulse is an audience engagement tool, web-based, which is trying to change behaviours and add value to any meeting that takes place anywhere in the world.
Okay. And how do you do that?
There you go.
All right, okay.
That was going to be my next question, so that works out
okay,
well.
so I guess where this came from was a desire to kind of democratise the way that employees got involved in decision-making in companies. And it's almost how to turn delegates into participants so they feel that they're involved in something.
Sure.
So the way that this would work in a really practical sense is, let's say you've got a meeting on Friday that you're thinking, not sure what the agenda is. You create a meeting, it's web-based URL. You send the web-based URL to the people in your team, and you might, on opening, ask them a couple of polls. You know, what do you think of the 4 things we talked about last week? What's the biggest challenge we've got at the moment? And then you might ask them some questions. Give me a question of the one thing that was at forefront in your mind from the last meeting. So in advance of the meeting, what you're doing is you're engaging the team and understanding what they would like to do at the meeting on Friday. And therefore, when you start the meeting on Friday, you can set up that they can see all the answers to the polls in advance, or you can keep the polls hidden until you come into the meeting.
And so the meeting doesn't, like with WebEx, right? The meeting doesn't exist until the host joins.
Yeah. So if we went online now, I could create a meeting that will be live in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And it would be a URL that could be bespoke to you. At the moment, if you use our dashboard, it would have meet.ps/your meeting.
Okay.
But at the other end, I do a lot of enterprise solutions and a lot of corporate events where we create a bespoke URL for large 500 people, 1,000 people meetings.
Okay.
And everything else in between.
Okay.
So you create it before, so you can use it only before the meeting. And never use it again. You can use it only in the meeting and not use it. You can use it after the meeting, or you can keep it open for a year, or you can, whatever you want to do in terms of engaging your audience.
Okay.
So if I were to create a meeting, would it send a push notification to others that are okay?
No. So you would get a bespoke URL, which you would then put within an email, or you might send it on Slack, or you might send it on Skype or whatever, which is, guys, we're going to have the meeting on Friday. Can you just go in here and tell me what you think? But you could also, if you've got a conference call, you could say, all right, while you're on, right, have you got another device there? I'll send you a URL, go in and let's see what we think about this topic. So I wasn't expecting to discuss this topic. Why don't we just have a quick discussion on, because I'm not sure if we all agree on this. So there's other behavioural, emotional kind of measures you can do with different colours and various other things. But the value is, I've been working with it for about a year now, and I don't think we've run it in the same way twice.
Okay.
Because you start with, if it's your meeting, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to measure? Are you changing behaviour? Do you want to know if somebody's got something? Do you want to really engage them? Do you really want to change your meeting based on what they tell you? Or are you really just paying lip service?
I think this is interesting for our group in particular.
Yeah, indeed. Because planning these things is complicated.
It takes a lot of discussion between
a tremendous amount of discussion and a lot of polling to come to a consensus. I mean, there's sometimes the consensus is overridden, but at least getting an idea of what the team feels.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you another example. I did an event in Florida just recently where...
That's where we're from.
All right, okay, well, right, let's swap cards.
Definitely.
I like Florida. I like New Orleans as well, but I like Florida. So what one of the speakers wanted to do within a 3-day legal congress was they had a panel of really smart people, and they had 10 potential topics. So what they said to the audience, 300 conflict resolution guys, was, okay, here's 10 questions. Before we talk, why don't you just go in and spend a minute and answer 10 polls? So in real time, because the way we've got this set up, the chair has got an iPad which he sees the polls coming in real time, or the questions coming in. So he was looking at the polls building dynamically across 10. So he spotted that some of them were 50-50 or whatever. So there was consensus in the room, either fully for or against, or 100% zero. But what he then saw was 5 polls that were 70-30 or 20-80. So the rest of the hour was only spent on those topics where there was a disconnect in the audience, rather than ones everybody already agreed in. So your meeting, for example, you'd say, right, organising this, let's agree what we agree on, and let's understand before we have the discussion where we disagree.
Right.
Therefore, let's not worry about this. We'll have a more efficient meeting. Let's focus on the ones that we really have a divergence of views.
Sure. Okay. That's fantastic. So, obviously, it's in place now because you've been using it.
Yeah.
So what kind of availability is it? Could I just go in and sign up today?
Yeah, you can. So the way that there's a couple of different models. So at the moment you could go and have a trial, and you could have a trial for a week or 2 weeks, and then you could practice. You can come for your own meetings. You have a bit of a play. There's then a subscription model, which is if you want to run it on a month for unlimited number of meetings, you pay a subscription fee, and then you've got a certain bunch of functionality. If you've got slightly bigger meetings or more complex and want some of the more developed features, then you pay a bit more. And at the other end, you've got complete enterprise, where I could go into Verizon or I could go somewhere else and create a system. So I'm at a slightly different end with a lot of my clients because I work mostly with healthcare and financial services. Okay. So I'm doing lots of big set piece events where it's 300 doctors in a room, or it's 500 financial analysts. So you want something in there that's has to be robust. You don't want it to be a distraction. You want it to be an enabler. So I only work with something and sell something that I trust, because I'm not technical. Okay. I know this is a tech conference, but 1 or 2 pages ahead in the book.
There's a couple of alcohol vendors out here, so it's not totally a tech conference.
But I have to have something that I trust, and I've looked around at lots of different tech. I've looked at some competitors, and the reason I'm working with the Meeting Pulse guys is I did my research. And in the Meeting Pulse team are people that are adaptable and build to order. And they're also they come from a very sound perspective, and it's a good team. They're really genuinely focused on turning delegates into participants and involving people, and changing behaviours.
Okay.
Sorry, I get quite passionate about this.
I love it. We love that. The passion is what drives you to do the best you can. And we love that.
I always prefer when somebody we interview is passionate about their topic.
So how long has this idea been working?
It's been on the go for over 2 years, 2.5 years, and it's at a point where it pays the bills, and it's doing really well. And it does have clients from some of the major universities, cosmetics, oil and gas, really big, well-known global clients. Okay. But the team, we're at a stage now, which is certainly in North America, we need to think about how we scale up and how we get more out there, and how you drive more leads, because there's a lot coming leads into the company. But like all organisations, it's like, oh gosh, we really have an opportunity here, because our marketplace is any meeting where you want to measure behaviour change or engage your audience.
Okay.
So the opportunity, I think, is huge. And I think what's really good compared to our competitors is that I think we understand audience engagement. We're not a technical team. We know how to engage an audience. We know what makes a good meeting. We're looking at the neuroscience of learning. We're looking at the sorts of things you need to do to switch the light on, to put people in the right state to help drive behaviour change for the individual.
And how large is your customer base right now, the user base?
Well, if I look at what I'm doing in Europe, I'm probably working with 6 of the top 10 global pharma companies. Okay. across the US, it's from some of the best-known universities to some of the best-known telecoms companies. And it's also small organisations where the guys are 12 in a team and they come together on a Friday. Mm-hmm. So it literally is, it's at all levels. And a lot of it is the subscription model, and more organisations are saying we need to build this into how we do business. Okay. So we just pitched for a leadership college where there's 400 lecturers. And what you do is create a login for 400 people and allow 400 people to drive engagement. So.
And what kind of feedback have you gotten back from your users already, and also the conference?
Well, we ask for feedback at the end of each session, and you put an evaluation form in. If it doesn't work, you get pretty obvious feedback straight away. But luckily it works, or not luckily, it's set up to work. I think what's really interesting is people like the fact it's your own device. So if you turn up at an event and give somebody an iPad and they haven't used an iPad before, or a keypad, it's not real. Whereas if you've got an Android or a BlackBerry or a phone, it's kind of like if you know how to get to Facebook, you can get to the meeting.
Right.
And so I think that the real positive feedback we get from people is, you know what, I just had to get my phone out of my pocket. And I'm involved, and if I touch, I'm engaged. And so I think that's a really positive feedback. And if the meeting is run with the best spirit, where you genuinely want to understand what your audience tell you, and if you're prepared to flex based on what they want, it's very, very positive. Okay. If you're just trying to say, well, we're engaging, but we're not really engaging, but we're going through the motions, you won't get good feedback.
And how has the conference been treating you so far?
Well, I will find time to sleep on the plane when I go home. I think what's great is we've seen all sorts of collaboration opportunities. So you look at HR systems, it's like, all right, if you bolt on our solution to the HR systems, that's quite good. We've looked at behavioural profiling systems. And I guess we're always looking for, well, how can what we do add value to other people? And how can they add value to us without going away from what the core is? But how can you just get out to more users? Because it is all about engagement.
Definitely.
So what kind of cost are we looking at here?
Well, the basic entry model in the US is $79 per month. And that gets you unlimited meetings of a certain size. And thereafter, but if you get to an enterprise version, it's, well, how many users, how many size, what URLs, is it closed, etc., etc.
Sure.
And there's a number of tools out there, and they all do slightly different things. But I guess I like all competitors, you look at all competitors, and I think we've done a lot of development based on, which may be different, is I'm involved in a lot of events where I'm in the event and I see what's happening. And you see what doesn't work, and you see what, if only we could do this, that would be so much more beneficial. So I think we've created something which genuinely is a step towards the right kind of solution. It's not the right thing for everything, but for those kind of meetings, it's exactly what we need to do.
Really cool. So if people want to get more information about your platform, how can they do that?
Well, if they go on to Meeting Pulse, meet.ps, then all the information is there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for taking the time to come talk to us today.
That's okay.
And have a good rest of the conference.
Right, I will. And I'd just like to say that in this part of the world, it's been so friendly. I mean, I've just had so much fun. And there's a lot of cool people here.
Definitely.
And it's just, and I think I've been at a lot of tech conferences before, and this is the one I've actually felt has, it's the combined thing, which I've actually enjoyed being here rather than feeling it's a job.
Yeah, we've really kind of come to love Collision.
Yeah.
We missed last year, but we were here in 2015. Not here because it was in Vegas, but and there's an energy level at Collision that doesn't exist kind of anywhere else.
Yeah.
This is definitely a cool conference.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Right. Okay. Cheers. Thanks.
Bye.